7 values in total. We have Unusing, Life Mending, Vorpal, and so on. So this is now the maximum setup. Hey Ron, I'm back with a new video, and this time we are talking about enchantments. So I would say let's jump right into it. As you can see, we have 3 new bars or values in our new normal enchanting UI. First off, we have Eterna. This one is going to define at which level you can enchant something. Right now, we have the kind of vanilla values with 10, 20, and 30. However, if we quickly switch our level and add some additional bookshelves from the mod pack, our Eterna maximum level increases to 50, or the Eterna value increases to 50, and our max level increases to 100, and our enchantments are going through the roof. So this one is really important. Eterna, you should always aim to reach the maximum level of Eterna as quickly as possible. I will tell you shortly how you can do that, but first let's have a look at the next value. This one is Quanta. This one is kind of the luck or RNG of the enchantment module, and you can see on the top left corner we have quantic warping. So we have a reduction potential of minus 52.5% and a growth potential of 52.5%, which means our enchantment can either be almost 50% worse or 50% better. You might think you want to have at best 0 Quanta, right? Because you don't want to risk losing your amazing enchantment. However, if you check the description, you can see Rectification lessens the negative effects. And that's the important point. So at the end of the day, actually, you can use Rectification. If it reaches 100% and your Quanta is 100%, you only get the growth potential. So you get your normal enchantment plus 100%. So this is really great, but you have to keep it in mind. So yeah, next up we have Arcana. With a high Arcana value, you can see on the left side the relative weights. So right now we would have a weight of 5 on common, 5 on uncommon, 4 rare, and 2 very rare. If we flip the level back, right now we are at common 10, uncommon 5, rare 2, and very rare 1. So this kind of shows you like how likely you're going to get some of the more powerful enchantments potentially. So you also always want to have a as high as possible of a value for Arcana. So that is it for the 3 values. One quick thing to mention, you can already see it on the Arcana value. We have a enchantability bonus of 0.5%. This one is generated through the book, and I have a quick showcase on the left side what this means and how this is generated. So as I showed, the book has a enchantability of 1, which results in a Arcana value of 0.5. However, if we use some of the more typical items to enchant, for instance a diamond sword, this one has an enchantability of 10 and a 5% Arcana bonus. So it's always 0.5 Arcana per enchantability value. And actually the best things to enchant in vanilla Minecraft are actually gold items, since they have an enchantability of 22 and you're going to get a Arcana bonus of 11%. However, this is only really useful, especially at the beginning, if you don't have a maximum setup, which I will get to later, because the value will never go over 100%. You will only reach 100. So if you have already 100, this is not going to make a difference. However, if you are at 80, you can like kind of boost it that way if you want to. Now we talked about the general values. Next up, I want to tell you about Eterna, since I mentioned it's really important. And this is the Eterna progression. So the important point about Eterna progression is that we don't really care about the plus value, we care about the maximum value, because this one is really critical in the later stages. At the beginning, we only have a maximum value of 15, and with each of those stages, we can reach a higher max value. The highest one for the second bracket, so this is the vanilla bracket, and then we have kind of the hell and sea bracket. Here you can just pick whatever resources you kind of prefer. I normally go for the hell because I don't like collecting pufferfish, which you need for the sea shelf. However, that's for you to decide. The maximum value you can reach with this one is a Eterna level of 30. After that, you can then create the deep shelves from the deep dark, which then reach up to a maximum level of 40. And after that, you can create the end shelves, which can push you to a maximum of 50. So this is the total Eterna progression, and I will now show you in detail each step from here on out. But we're starting with the normal setup, right? Those are our bookshelves. We have seen it before. You need 15 to create the first basic setup. The next one, I in my situation picked the hell version. For the hell shelves, you need nether bricks, your normal bookshelf, a Potion of Regeneration, and a Blaze Rod. And this is going to push your max level to 22.5. So you can actually do this additively, right? So you can have your basic setup, your basic bookshelves, and you just need to add 5 additional house shelves to reach 22.5. And the reason why we need 22.5 is to get to this one over there, because this is, it looks the same, let's be honest. The house shelf is the same, like at least here, but it is a infused house shelf. So this one is going to actually let you upgrade, get to Eterna 27. And how do you get this thing? And this is through a method called Infusion Enchanting. You can enchant the house shelf with the maximum enchantment. So right now we have Eterna 22.5. This now shows a infusion enchantment. And if we do that, you have now a infused house shelf. But yeah, it looks different, right? It's not this one. This one is actually the setup with the updated version. So you can improve the infused ones to some more specific ones. There are 2 versions you can pick. You have the glowing house shelf and you have the blazing house shelf. I picked in my situation the glowing one. It has a lower Eterna value, right? Like each house shelf only adds 2, but it has a lower Quanta value and it adds Arcana. So Arcana is always good, but Quanta can be bad, as I mentioned before. So I think for the basic progression, I would recommend you to use the glowing shelf, which you just put your house shelf in the middle and then you just add some glowstone around it and then you are good, right? So let's have a look. This is the glowing house shelf setup, each adding 2 Eterna, and now our values are at 30 Eterna, 45 Quanta, and 60 Arcana. This is it for the, well, you could say Hell bracket or the C bracket. As I mentioned before, the same items of like the glowing shelf can also be gathered through the C. So if I quickly type in C, you have the hard-forged C shelf or the crystalline C shelf. Each of them also do a maximum of 30 Eterna. Next up, we have the Deep Dark. So to progress here to the next stage, we need actually, again, a Infusion Enchanting. So we have here the Deep Shelf, which is already the infused version because there is the Dormant Deep Shelf. This one is created quite easily. You just need deep slate tiles, and then you combine it with books like a normal bookshelf. As you can see, it also works as like a normal bookshelf. It just gives you 15 Eterna as the maximum. However, you can improve it with the Infusion Enchanting, and then it goes up really fast to a maximum of 35. We can have a quick look. So we need 30 Eterna to get to the next level, Dormant Deep Shelf, and let's put it in. And now you can see here with a level 60, so you need 60 levels to create 1 deep shelf. This one again has new subversions. That's why for this setup I didn't use the basic one. So we can now use the deep shelf and add some different materials to it. So for instance, the Soul Touch deep shelf adds Quanta and Eterna. And then we have the Echoing deep shelf, which adds Arcana 15, which is really great. So this is a really great shelf. I would definitely recommend you get this one over the other one, especially if you don't have any rectification yet. So as you can see, I use only the Echoing deep shelves here. For that, you need candles, which you can find. I think you can craft them right in the game with like if you have bees and some string, you can craft them. And also a echo shard, which you can get from, well, you can get it from the Loot Fabricator and the Warden, but you can also find it from the Ancient Cities. So those are the 2 normal shelves you can, or the improved shelves from the deep shelves. There is, however, one different one, which is the Echoing Skulk shelf. So it's just one step further, and then you can get the higher version, which gives you a max level of 40. For that, you have to kill the Warden to get his tendrils, and you need some Skulk and a Skulk Catalyst. That's how you get the maximum level of the second bracket, which is the Deep Dark. So at this point, you should have a enchanting table with Eterna 40. Quanta and Arcana can differ depending on like what setup you have, but I would recommend you, if you're at this stage, use the Echoing Deep Shelf. For the max level, just add 1 Echoing Skulk Shelf. Okay, and now we're done with the Deep Dark. Let's go to the end. So for the end, the first step is the End Shelf. This one itself is actually not infused, surprisingly, but you need a infused item to create it. So you have first off the basic endstone bricks. I think those are pretty easy, right? You just take endstone, make endstone bricks. Nothing new here. But the infused Dragon's Breath is the special item. For this one, you need the infusion enchanting, as I showed before. And you turn 1 Dragon's Breath into 3 infused Dragon's Breath. You need Eterna 40, so you need this kind of setup so you can do the infusion enchanting, right? So you get 3 of them, which is nice, so you don't have to do a lot of them. Quickly to mention for the people who, as I actually didn't know how to get Dragon's Breath, you have to, well, there's one way with the loot fabricator, but you can also get it by using a glass bottle in the end. So if the Ender Dragon attacks you, you have sometimes those purple smokes on the ground, and then you can just use an empty glass bottle to collect this Dragon's Breath. Actually, pretty easy item to get, and then you just infuse it as shown here. And with this new end shelf, we can create a couple new items. So we have the pearlescent end shelf, which I use as a primary material here, which is made out of the normal end shelf. You put 2 ender pearls and the end rods. I think actually end rods are pretty easy to make at this point of the game, so I think this is like a really cheap version, like really cheap bookshelf at this point. The other one is the draconic end shelf. For this one again, you use the normal end shelf, 5 ender pearls and a dragon head. There is the vanilla way of getting it by just going to the end cities and getting on one of the end ships, and they should be able to find one of those dragon heads. The other ways would be through modded Minecraft. So you have the mystical agriculture approach with the dragon egg essence, and you have the hostile neural network approach. So for that you would then need Dragon's Breath, a ender dragon prediction, and a generalized ender prediction. At the end of it, you need 8 pearlescent end shelves and 1 draconic end shelf to create the maximum Eterna setup. For that, however, if you want to have the maximum, right, like if you want to have the maximum, you need a couple more. So here I combined some pearlescent end shelves and normal end shelves, and also a draconic one. This one gives us the maximum, right? So we have now 50 Eterna, 15 Quanta, and 100 Arcana. But as mentioned at the beginning of the video, we don't want Quanta 100, at least if we don't have Rectification. And for that, let's have a look at the ways to get Rectification. There is a clear progression here as well, kind of similar to the one we had at the beginning. So you start with the shelf of Seabound Rectification. In my opinion, this is the hardest of those 3 to get. So you need 4 blocks of amethysts and 4 honeycomb blocks. Also, the bees can be kind of hard to get at the beginning if you didn't start with that yet. And the amethysts, you can get those from those kind of geode caves you can find in normal Minecraft, and then you can collect the amethysts. For the infused shelf, you just need a normal sea shelf infused as we did beforehand. For the normal sea shelf, you need prismarine bricks, a pufferfish, a water bottle, and a bookshelf. For the pufferfish, you can also use fish essence, which I used, like in my normal playthrough, that's how I did it. I used fish essence, which you can get through agriculture. Then you make fish seeds, which you can just make out of a fish soldier, and then some essences. If you have a couple of those Seabound Rectification shelves, we can make the shelf of Hellbound Rectification. For this one, we're just adding our normal Rectification bookshelf in the middle, add even more amethysts, and then adding the gilded black stone. You can get those from like different parts in the game. I think you can also, you can also infuse it, so you can just get black stone and add gold and make it gilded, and then you can craft the Hellbound Rectification block. We come to the last one, which is the shelf of Infused Rectification, which gives us per block 25 rectification. For this one, you're going to need the previous Rectification bookshelf. Then we're just adding 4 purple blocks and a block of 4 blocks of amethysts for this item. At the end, you're going to need 4 of this one. Maybe start already with 4 Seabound, 4 Hellbound, and then you get to the 4 infused Rectification blocks. And with that, we can make our perfect setup. Now in the top left corner, you can see Rectification 100%. And with that, we only have the positive value, right? As you can see, reduction potential is 0, growth potential is 100. That's what we want. But we have a problem. As you can see, we only see 1 enchantment. And as I showed at the beginning of the video, at this point, you should get like way more enchantments. And if we quickly do this and give it a try, you can actually see we have not just Sweeping Edge 6, which we saw previously, we also have Life Mending 2, Capturing 6, Knowledge of the Ages, Knockback, and Nature's Mend. So out of the 6 enchantments, we're only able to see one of them. And to change that, you need the enchanting clues. On the top left corner, you can see right now we have only one enchanting clue. That means we see one enchantment. To change that, you need those longs. They are called Shelf of Sight or Masterful Sight. So we have Shelf of Sight. This one you make out of 4 gold blocks, a spyglass, a Potion of Night Vision, which is 3 minutes long, and then a Eye of Ender and 2 infused house shelves. I showed previously how you can make those, so I think by now you should be good to go. For the second level, you are going to need 4 blocks of emerald, 2 netherite ingots, and 2 Potion of Night Vision, 8 minutes. Really important here, don't miss that detail. And with that, you can make a Shelf of Masterful Sight. You need in total 3 shelves, so you can get to an enchanting clue amount of 7. That's at least the highest amount of enchantments I have seen. We have 7 values in total. We have Unusing, Life Mending, Vorpal, and so on. So this is now the maximum setup. You can upgrade items with up to level 100 and also fully see where the enchantments are coming from or which enchantments you are going to get. I can quickly showcase the layout. It's pretty simple. I'm using a couple of pearlescent end shelves for the Eterna and Quanta and Arcana just to fill it up. In the corners, I'm using the Shelf of Rectification, the ones we talked about previously. Then I'm going to using 1 Draconic End Shelf and 3 shelves of Masterful Sight. At the end of the day, this is not the most optimum layout. I will show you my layout later on, which I will also make a dedicated video about. But this is like mostly what you're going to need for your basic Apotheosis enchantment experience. And to conclude the video, I want to quickly talk about a couple of nice items which are also getting added by the Apotheosis enchanting module. The first one I'm going to talk about is the enchantment library. You might have seen this one in a previous video of mine because it is like just so great. I normally use the Library of Alexandria, which is kind of the upgraded version of the normal enchantment library, but mostly they function the same way. Only the Library of Alexandria has more space, so you can put more enchantments inside of it. Now I will quickly show you how does it work, how does it look inside the library. I already prepared a couple of enchantments here, but to go step by step, we have on the top right corner first some filters. So you can either filter the list of enchantments by a name, so you can just type in looting or loot or whatever you want to do. And you can also use a item filter. I think this one is really useful. So you can just put in your sword and then it shows you all the enchantments you can potentially put on it. So you can see on the left side, looting max level available is level 8 and points stored are 128. The max level is always the highest you ever got as an enchantment. That means if I put in right now, let's say, what's this? Protection, right? If I put this in, we have now protection max level 1. Even if I put in, I don't know, like 4 protection books. We have now 4 points stored, so 4 level 1 books, but the maximum is still level 1. So this is really important for the setup. So you need to really get a high level here, protection 8, to get the maximum enchantment. So now we can export that or like get it out. So if you click only with normal left click, you only get 1 level. If you press shift left click, it's going to give you either the maximum. So if I put this back, it gives you the maximum straight away, or you can also add it. So if you put like left click, you can always add 1 level. If you press shift, it's going to give you the maximum you have potentially stored. The nice thing also about this, you don't need books, right? So you can just like click on this and you get your enchanted book, which is I think really useful, makes it really easy to use. And it stops you from wasting experience points, because normally if you want to get to sharpness 8, for instance, you have to combine like different books and get to that points. And this one makes it really really convenient to use. So you just press sharpness and you have sharpness 5. And you can also already combine the enchantments into one book. So if I press now shift left click, we have now our sharpness 9. We can press shift left click on unbreaking. And now we have both enchantments. And you can do that for all the enchantments you want to do. Right now, this is the maximum we can put, or like the only ones we have inside of this thing for our book. And now we have our enchanted book with looting, unbreaking, and sharpness. So this is really, really useful. And as I mentioned, the only difference between this library, so the normal enchanted library, and the Library of Alexandria is the capacity. So right now, this one has a points stored maximum on the left side of 32,000. This one has a maximum, let's put those in, of 1.1 billion. So yes, if you have like a automated setup with enchantments, definitely go for the Library of Alexandria. But if you just do manual enchantments, you can also be happy with this one. To have a quick look how you can get them. So the enchanted library is actually quite easy to get. You just need 4 ender chests, a enchanting table, and then any kind of infused bookshelf. How do you get the Library of Alexandria? So you're going to need infusion enchanting, and you have to have a certain setup. So you need 50 Eternas. You can only do this after you kill the Ender Dragon and after you made the setup I showed you. Quanta is only allowed to be between 45 and 50. So here you have to be careful because in our normal setup, what I showed you beforehand, we are at 100. So you have to remove some bookshelves to get the setup. And then we have Arcana at 100, and only then you have the option to infuse the normal enchanting library to the Library of Alexandria. Next up, we're going to talk about Cobwebs because they actually have a additional function in this mod pack or with Apotheosis. So a normal cobweb, which you can get through Silk Touch if you get like in a mine shaft and then get it from there. You can also craft it. There's a lot of different ways to get it. You can use that to remove all enchantments from a item. The enchantments, however, get destroyed. So this is only if you, for whatever reason, like really want to disenchant it, to re-enchant it potentially, and you don't have any other item to do this. The second one is the prismatic cobweb. This one is made out of a normal one and then just adding some prismarine shards. This one only removes the curses because, as I showed previously, we can get some curses on our weapons. Yeah, now we have it. So for instance, Berserker's Fury, as I showed in my armor video, which can be really strong, is counted as a curse since it's going to do a lot of damage to you. And now to get to the last items in this video, we have the tomes. So there are quite a lot of them actually, and they all have their own purpose. Tomes are being used as a replacement for a normal tool, right? If in the normal game you want to only get pickaxe enchantments, you will use a pickaxe. What you can do here instead, you have certain tomes. So you can use the Tome of Miners, for instance, as a replacement. And if we have a quick look over here at our enchantment table, we only get pickaxe specific enchantments. And this is really nice because, especially at this point, we don't need a enchantment value. As I mentioned before, we have enchantability. So if you have a book, the enchantability is going to be 1, and the same also for the tomes. However, if you already have a max level Arcana setup, as we have here, you don't care about the enchantability. You can use whatever item you want to enchant your items. And those are really convenient. They're often like really easy to craft. You just need a couple of books and a blaze rod. You have like for the armor, for instance, then we have for the weapons, for the tools, also for the fisher. If it's not applying to any of those, it's going to be inside of the Tome of the Others. Especially a lot of mod pack enchantments might be only on this book. That's it about the basic tomes for enchanting itself. However, we also have some other tomes, which are the Tomes of Scraping. There are 3 levels of those. We have the normal Tome of Scraping, the Tome of Superior Scraping, and the Tome of Extraction. So the normal Tome of Scraping is going to remove half of the enchantments from an item. So let's have a look. If we put this in, we only get the book, and we get Scavenger 3, Fortune 7, and Berserker's Fury. So at the beginning we had 5 enchantments, now we only have 3. The thing is, the levels stay the same, it's only the slots. So you have, let's say, 7 enchantments on a sword, you get like 3 or 4 enchantments back. If you have 2, you get 1, but the level stays the same. It's not going to decrease the level. This one extracts all of the enchantments, but still destroys the items, so now we keep all of them. The last one is the Tome of Extraction, which removes all the items and also gives us all the enchantments. So the item, as you were able to see, just got moved down, and we get the book with all the enchantments. And that's all about the Tome of Scraping. But I think we saw now in the video, infusion enchanting can be quite difficult. And for that, I'm currently working on a, well, almost automated system. Let me quickly switch all the levers. Already spoiling the video here. This is the normal setup, right? This is a maximum setup. We have maximum Eterna, maximum Quanta, maximum Arcana, and Rectification. And this one has some special features. As I mentioned, I won't go fully into detail how you will do this, but it allows you to change it and do different infusion enchantments. So you can now do, for instance, fully infusion enchant from the lowest level to the max level, and also some other interesting ones. So that's all for the video. So if you're interested in, well, how this system works on my right side, I would definitely recommend you to subscribe to the channel so you're ready for the next video. And if this video was helpful to you, I would really appreciate if you left a like. And if you have any other questions about the module, as something's unclear, or if you want to tell me what video you want to see next, please leave a comment and I will get back to you as soon as I can. And I wish all of you an amazing day.